Whew. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Hello, and welcome back to the Brittnee Smith podcast. And you guys, this is episode number 99. Episode number 99 of the Brittnee Smith podcast. I am beyond elated at this milestone. I know 100 is like the real milestone, but just the fact that we are so close to 100, right? 99 hellos, 99 sign-offs, 99 record, 99 edit. Like, have you ever, like, what's something that you've done for that long, like something that you had to like create or put together or produce or work on? Like, this is a moment, okay? And this one little thingy is just gonna, all right then. But anywho, so I want to welcome you to episode 99 of the Brittnee Smith podcast. And what I want to talk about today is a C word that either makes you shudder or shudder, right? Consistency. And when I say consistency to our type of women like us, we go, oh gosh, I know, right? Because we know that consistency is the key to our success. It's not your skill set, it's not your ability, it's not your desire, it is your consistency that is the thorn in your flesh. Let's just call it what it is, right? Like, you're amazing at what you do, but you're not consistent in doing the things, and therefore you're not seeing the results that you want. I'm just going to put that out there up front. But one, you're not by yourself, because consistency has always been a challenge for me as well. But two, I'm going to give you 5 ways to be more consistent in your business and your life. And these tips, these ideas came from my journey as a podcaster and how I got to 99 episodes. You guys, like, y'all understand how big of a deal this is. Not just because I've done 99 episodes, but because, like, I've put out an episode every week for 99 weeks. Like, that's that's wild. That's wild to me. And so that required consistency. It required commitment to the task. It required clarity as to why I do what I do. It required all those C's. It required creativity. It required coordination, right? And so I want to talk about five ways to be consistent in your business and in your life. And these tips came from my journey as a podcaster. So number one, you have to know what your priorities are. And every one of these tips, you guys, I have an honesty bomb to drop with each one of these, because I'm not talking to you like I've mastered it, okay? Because I have not mastered it. I'm just doing really good with it right now in my life, right? And so one, you have to know what your priorities are. Your priorities will help to guide your decision making, and it will help you in being consistent at whatever it is. Like, my children are a priority. That's why they eat every day. That's why they get bathed. That's why they get new underwear and new diapers and stuff purchased for them when they're not around, because they're a priority. I'm consistent because I'm committed, right? So with your business, with your life, you have to really, really be honest with yourself about what your priorities are in this season of your life. What are your priorities in your business? Is it sales? Is sales the number one priority? Is it development? Is it awareness? People to become more aware of your brand? Is the priority in your business to build relationship with key people in this season? What are your priorities in your business? All of the things that you're doing, the actions that you're taking, ought to be able to inform me of what's important to you, right? So the fact that I'm recording this podcast episode right now in the morning, and it's for next week, lets you know, lets me know, lets the world know that this is a priority for me, right? And so this is what helps me to be consistent, and I don't want to break my streak. Okay, so you have to be honest about what your priorities are. So here's my honesty bomb. Sometimes, because I am wired the way I am, I'm passionate about a lot of things, right? I'm passionate about my family. I'm passionate about Jesus. I'm passionate about my business and the people I serve. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about fill in the blank, right? And so my honesty bomb is that I don't always get this thing right as far as the order of my priorities. And so sometimes I will show up less in one area because I'm so focused on showing up more in another area. And so sometimes the lesser area, it lacks, or it's missing something because I'm not focused, right? And I still struggle with that as a multi-passionate, multi-hatted woman with lots of different irons in the fire. Sometimes I still struggle with being able to really clearly show what my priorities are. And that's something that I work through. When I don't get it right, I just say, oh, snap, let me fix it. And I work on fixing it, right? So that's number one. You have to know what your priorities are. Number two, you have to understand your capacity. Sis, you can't do it all, honey boo boo. You can't. You can't. And one of the things that will mess us up in our consistency is we'll spread ourselves too thin and something's going to get dropped. Or we'll spread ourselves too thin and it all feels and looks so overwhelming that we say, you know what? Forget it. I'm not doing none of it. And so you have to be clear about your capacity in this season. I'm clear. Like there are things, y'all, that I've said no to in the last 6 months that I would not have said no to before, because it's not the fact that can I make it happen? Should I make it happen? Is my energy worth pouring into this particular thing? Is my time worth spending on this particular thing? Because energy and time I can't get back, right? Is this thing worth my money? Right? So you have to be clear about what your capacity is in this season. Do you have the capacity to hang out with your friends every weekend if you're trying to build a business and raise a family and lead in your church right now? Probably not. Do you have the capacity to volunteer at the homeless shelter every day when you have all these other things going on? Maybe not. Do you have the capacity to travel for ministry in this season while your kids are small and need their mama? Maybe not. One, you have to understand your capacity, but two, understand that your capacity changes from season to season. So what you were able to do last year or able to do 5 years ago, and you're frustrated because you're trying to do all of that today, you're different today. Your life looks different today. Your capacity is different today. I want to tell you that your energy, your time, your ideas, your you-ness is so much more valuable now than it was 5 years ago, because you have so much more experience, you have more wisdom, you have more maturity. So the things that you say yes to today ought to really deserve your yes. The things you say yes to today ought to really value your yes. You ought to see a return. Oh, this is good. You ought to see a return on your yes today, because your yes is more valuable today than it was back then. You ought to know your worth today. The people that come to you for things, you ought to know whether or not their needing of you is real, or if it is comfortable for them. Y'all know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You're thinking about people right now. And so you have to understand your capacity and understand what people, places, and things deserve you in this season. All right. Honesty bomb. I have been living without margin. And it's almost like I've grown accustomed to living without margin. And I'm really trying to break myself out of that. But what that means is, you know how on a piece of paper, like a lined piece of paper, there's a margin on the side. It's to keep your text from being all smushed into the edge, and it makes the content easier to digest on the page. Like it gives space and it gives breadth. It gives room for error. It gives room for the unexpected. Like if you need to jot something down real quick, you can jot it down in the margin. Well, if you're like me, you have this really terrible habit of planning and scheduling out every minute of every day. So I'm gonna wake up at 7 o'clock, and then between 7 and 7:30, I'm going to pray and talk to God. And then from 7:30 to 8, I'm going to take a shower. And then from 8 to 8:07, I'm going to brush my teeth. Like, not leaving any room for anything to not go according to plan, right? And then we get flustered, we get thrown off, we get crazy when one small thing happens and it upsets our whole schedule. And now we're living and flying by the seat of our pants because our schedule is thrown off. You have got to insert margin into your life. It is going to be a practice. Like working in margin, I've learned, right? So now I don't start my workday officially until 10 o'clock at home. Why? Because when I wake up, I have two small kids. So when I wake up, it might be because the baby's awake already and it's like 5:40 in the morning. So I'm mommying her. And so either I'm getting her cleaned up and ready, maybe we're listening to some YouTube videos and dancing around, maybe we're just laying there. I leave room to breathe. Margin gives you space to be able to adjust and maneuver when the things of life. And I don't even mean like big crazy things happening. I just mean, oh, the baby spilled something on the floor and you got to clean the carpet before you leave. Well, when you create margin, that is not going to make you late to the car, make you get stuck in traffic, make you late for work, throw off the rest of your day. If you create margin, everything that seems to be an emergency is not really an emergency. But when you don't have any margin, everything's an emergency. Everything's a fire. Everything has to get taken care of right now. Don't live your life like that. It's less stressful when you incorporate margin. So I want to challenge you to look at your day-to-day schedule and identify where you can afford to put some margin. Okay. Like I said, I'm still working. I'm a work in progress. Okay. So it's okay. That's number 2. Number 3, find a system that works for you in this season. Like I alluded to before, your schedule years ago may not be your schedule today. And so honesty bomb, my business didn't grow, y'all, until I put some systems in place. Systems are processes that you put in place to achieve a desired outcome over and over and over again. You do the same thing and you get the same outcome over and over and over again. So for example, when people want to book a call with me, a consult with me, I used to go back and forth on what's your schedule? When are you available? When are you available? No, I can't do that day. Well, can you do this day? And this would go on, y'all, for a ridiculous amount of time. Like we'd be scheduling for a month. Like when you, oh girl, tag, you're it. Like some of y'all are there now. Like get your life together, get a scheduling app like Acuity, Calendly. I have Honeybook, so there's a scheduler included in there where I put my schedule, my availability in there. I send them the link, and they can choose their availability according to that link. And then we're good because whatever they pick is going to be a time that I'm okay with because I set the parameters. So that was a game changer for me in my business. Like that small thing was a game changer because I then saved so much time from that going back and forth via email trying to schedule stuff. It was a lot. So systems that work for you. Your system may be your daily schedule. And we're going to get into this a little bit in a little bit. I got a VA. I got a virtual assistant. Hey, Kay, she's amazing. And because I was able to take some of those administrative, repetitive things out of my brain so that she can help me with those things, that was where I had room to grow in my business. When I was doing everything, I had no margin to create. I had no margin to market. I had no margin to show up. But then, like I said, I got her. I got Tony as my design assistant. He's also amazing. So now I made room. I made room so that the demands of my business that require my attention for the business to grow can get my attention. All right. And so that is the other thing. Like when we talk about being consistent, my business didn't grow because I'm the best brand strategist in the whole wide world. I'm decent, but there are plenty of brand strategists out there. Like there are plenty of people that do what I do. But the systems that I put in place allowed me to show up more consistently and establish myself as a branding expert. Does that make sense? Your systems will allow you to establish yourself and be more consistent in the areas that require your attention. All right. Number 4, to-do lists and calendars. I love a to-do list and I love my calendar. They keep me on track. Yes, they do. That required a song. My to-do list, y'all, and my calendars are like the Bible of my like life. The Bible is the Bible of my life, but like my to-do list and my calendars really, really, really help me to establish consistency because I'm able to remember what I'm supposed to do because I write it down. You have to write down what you're supposed to do. I literally, most weeks will go into my notes on my phone and I'll put to do for the week of this week. I'll put the date. And then I'll literally list everything from my life, from my business, from ministry. I'll list everything that needs to happen that week. So when I get to a moment of breath where I'm like, whew, taking a break, I'll look at my to-do list and say, okay, when I finish this break, what am I going to get done next? Having it written down really allows you to not get stuck in your brain and force you to try to remember everything. Because if you do, you will forget things. You will things will fall through the cracks. Things will get dropped. You will be scrambling. Don't be a scrambler. Okay. So using your to-do list and then calendaring. I cannot stress enough your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you use. It should have everything in it. Your life stuff, your doctor's appointments, your date nights, your nap days, like whatever it is. I put everything in my calendar so that when I look at a certain day, I can see an honest depiction of what I have available to maneuver in, right? So you definitely want to utilize your calendar. Like my Google Calendar really looks incredibly amazing because it's so colorful, right? I'm going to show you guys. Hopefully you can see this. All right, that looks really crazy. That looks really crazy. But I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I know what's coming up. I don't feel frazzled because I'm like, don't I have something today? Like, it helps me. It helps me. Now, everybody's process is different. I call mine organized chaos because you may not understand it, but I do, and it works for me. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to figure out what works for you as far as to-do list and calendaring. Honesty bomb, I calendar everything like rest. I have on here Brittnee's fun day. I have on here time with hubby, like family time. Like I have everything, hang out with friend, right? Like I have it all in there so that I don't overbook myself because that's what I'll do. I'll say, yeah, I'm free on Wednesday at 3. And then I look at my calendar like, oh snap. And I have to go back and tell that person, oh wait, actually I double booked myself. That's so annoying. It's so annoying. And when you're living without margin, that happens a lot. So take the time to calendar and plan. Use your to-do list. This will help you to be more consistent in showing up and being where you're supposed to be and having the energy that you're supposed to have when showing up in those said places. All right. So that's number 4. Number 5. Another key to being consistent in your life and business, and this may sound counterproductive, but it is to begin again. Don't be afraid to start over. I say this because I don't know if you guys remember Periscope. It was an app that people would be able to go live on every day or whenever, kind of like Clubhouse, but for video. And it was a live app, right? So I was on Periscope and I legitimately went live 100 days in a row, like every single day in the morning. Hey, y'all, it's Brittnee and Smith live on the drive, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know what it was that kept me consistent for 100 days, but baby, day 101, after I celebrated 100 days, I didn't do it. And then the streak was broken and I never went back until, excuse me, there were several other times I'm like, man, I got to get back to it. People will ask me, where are you? Where have you been? I haven't seen you on Periscope. I'm like, listen, I had a baby. There was like life happening. And so it felt really difficult to get back. And then there were all the thoughts, right? Like, oh, you messed up the streak. All your people are gone. Nobody's looking for you now. Like you tried it before, you failed. Forget it. I have mastered the art of beginning again. As long as you're alive and you have a mind to do it and the capacity to do it, start again. Now, like I said earlier, your life schedule may be different now. At that time, I didn't have any kids. It was just me. I wasn't even married at that time, I don't think. And so it was literally just me waking up with myself, like, hey, let's go live on Periscope. Now I have a husband. Now I have 2 girls that are young, right? So like I can't do that in the mornings because 9 times out of 10, Ryan will be in the video like, mommy, shooby, dabu, bee boo, right? Like she'll be in it. And so my schedule doesn't allow for that, that level of showing up. So you have to be okay with beginning again. This podcast began June 22nd, 2021, and I've released an episode every week since then. Um, that's still crazy to me. But that was me beginning again. It looked different. It had the same purpose, motivating, encouraging, inspiring my listeners. Same purpose, different format. And look at how consistent I've been able to be over the last 2 years, right? So don't be afraid to begin again. It is okay to start over. Why? Because you're better now. You're wiser now. You know what you did wrong the first time. You are able to better assess your availability to do the things, right? So you're not going to set out to do a live every single day of every week because you have a lot going on. So do a live every other week, once every other week. Okay? Like, start there. And once you do that for 6 months, then you can increase it. But nobody's going to fault you for trying. Nobody's going to fault you for showing up. I will fault you for not trying and not showing up. All right. Honesty bomb is I failed so many times. I've started over so many times. And guess what? Nobody really notices when you start over. They just say, oh, hey, I saw your video. They're not saying, oh, hey, it's been 8 years since you did a live video. Where you been? Like, no, like you will have a select few of people who are really been like riding with you and be like, yo, where you at? But the majority of people have forgotten. I hate to say it like that, but they've forgotten. Like there's so much inundating us on a daily basis that nobody's sitting around clocking, oh, that's day number 587 and she still hasn't gone live. Like, no, forget that. Start. Hit the live button, hit the record button, hit the publish button, hit the sale button, hit the button, do the things. All right. Because I want you to make friends with the reset button. Sometimes it's just necessary. Like sometimes it's not even that you broke a streak or you stopped being consistent, but sometimes you just need to refresh the thing. So if you feel like what you're doing is not working, I release you to start over. I release you to pause, reflect, dream, and start over. Do something else. Just do something else. Just do something else. It's fine. It's fine. Because I'd rather you spin your wheels pursuing and doing something that is fulfilling to you, something that is going to work, something that is going to flow, something that is in alignment with who you are today, than to continue to try to shove your circle peg into the square hole or your square hole into the circle peg, I'll say, because the circle peg will go in a square hole. But that's just you being dysfunctional and putting the circle peg in the square hole when you know it doesn't go there. But I'd rather you put the circle peg in the circle hole. You may have to find the circle hole or you may have to find your peg. I don't know, whichever one you are. But the point is, if you're going to spend your time, spend your energy, spend your wheels, spend your life doing something, it ought to be something that you are aligned with, something that you are going to be blessed by, something that you are going to bless others with. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your life because those things you can't get back, right? Can't get them back. So those are my 5 things that I've learned about being consistent. 1, you have to know what your priorities are. 2, you have to understand your capacity in this season. 3, you have to find systems that work for you. 4, you have to use to-do lists, not have to, but using to-do lists and using your calendar to the fullest helps you to be consistent. And then number 5 is not being afraid to begin again, not being afraid to hit the reset button and start over, because why not? All right. So listen, again, tune in live on this Friday, July 7th at 7 p.m. If you are not local to the tri-state area, tune in live for the live recording of the Brittnee Smith podcast, Centennial Soiree. It's our 100th episode celebration. If you can't watch, if you can't come in person, get dressed up, put on some sparkly glitter something and watch live, get a glass of something and come on to the party. If you are in the tri-state area, you want to get a ticket to this event. http://bit.ly/BS podcast 100 in all caps. You can click that link. You can get your tickets. It's in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's going to be phenomenal. Like I said, get dressed up, put some glitter on. You can even sign up for the VIP experience. We're going to have some hors d'oeuvres. We're going to have a 360 machine. We're going to have some guests. We're going to have some photos. Like, it's going to be really beautiful. And I want you there. I want you there. If you want to be a sponsor, you want me to shout your business out, please, please, please make sure that you also visit the link for that in the show notes. It's bit.ly/BS podcast sponsor in all capital letters, so that you can partner with us and I can shout you out in front of our audience of over 3,000 people. It's going to be phenomenal. So I love you guys. Thank you for riding this out with me, and I will see you live at the Centennial Soiree, the 100th episode of the Brittnee Smith podcast. Thank you guys. Love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.